let's start off with the Web2 companies that we've seen invest in Web3, because
Yeah.
it is nuts. When I saw this tweet and I sent it over to you guys, and I don't know if I called you, but I was like, guys, you got to check this out. Like right now, look at the companies that have been investing in Web3 in the past year. It's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like what are the standouts? What are the standouts for you guys? When you guys see this, what's the thing that like really grabs your attention? I'm curious. Andy, do you want to start with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the amounts are interesting to me. When you look at it, they're fairly large numbers, right? We're talking about $1 billion for the top, 4 or 5 of these companies. That's a pretty substantial investment when they're not investing in their own firm, but they're investing in, startups that are outside of their operational control. And so I think that's meaningful. It's in many cases, I think more of just testing the waters for companies this large, but super bullish on the space. And so for those, whether you're a gamer who may be not so predisposed to crypto at the moment, I think you have to recognize this is happening. The companies that are in Web 2, they're just trying to figure out what's the right angle for them to enter Web 3. So this is really an inevitable approach. And so the question is, how can we make sure that the space emerges and is a positive for us as consumers and as gamers, as opposed to a negative, like many innovations that we've seen in Web 2? Yeah. Will, what about you? What jumps out to you?
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the investments. It's nuts, and it's cool because we see the number of rounds. Like I'm assuming that is like how many times they've invested. We see Samsung have invested 13 times, but then we see like Morgan Stanley only 2 times, but they've gone in with like $550 million each time into those 2 companies there, which I think is really cool to see as well. And I mean, obviously Alphabet being Google with just a huge amount of money.
Yeah. I think, for me, the thing that's really, really interesting is like when I look at these companies, we're obviously going to see some like tech companies like Alphabet, Samsung, PayPal, Microsoft. Like we're definitely going to see some tech in here. But the more interesting thing, I think, for me is the financial companies that we see. Like we've got a Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. I think BNY Mellon. I'm actually not too sure about those guys.
Yeah,
Commonwealth Bank is obviously an Australian one. Citi, UOB, Wells Fargo, like American Express. Like there's the majority of these guys that are investing are all financial institutes. So I'm curious, like knowing that, it makes me feel like, well, for any investor in any space, I'll keep this picture up while we talk about it a little bit more. But for any investor, you're not going to make an investment unless you think the ROI is there, right? And I think that's especially true to a different level for these financial institutions. They're not going to just be throwing money around. This is not what they do. There's a reason that banks pay you 0.1% interest, but then take that money and loan it out. Like their whole job there is try and make as much capital as possible. So I think when we see these things up here, like I think that's very, very bullish for the space in general. Apart from that, I think this one here really stands out to me. We've obviously spoken about, and actually let's look at some of the names that they're investing in, right? Are there any names that you guys are seeing that you like? FTX, we know, obviously. Yuga Labs, obviously, we know them as well. That's really cool. Sky Mavis, that's Axie Infinity, right? Yeah, that's Axie Infinity.
The Axie Development Studio, yeah.
Yeah. What else do we? Where is that? I didn't even see that.
Up at the end of Samsung.
Yep. Animoca. Yeah. There you go. Gemini, Immutable. Obviously, that's where I was going to go. YGG over here, which is crazy as well. So like, there's a lot of big names that we know, and it like one of the ones we talk about quite a bit. I believe we've talked about quite a bit. Is Immutable, right? Immutable X, and this right here, Tencent, investing in Immutable, $224 million. I think that's massive. Let me get rid of this picture right now.
And we've also got Prosus. We've got 2 companies investing in Immutable, which is really cool. And they're putting in $260 million too.
100%, yeah. So I think like when I look at Tencent, because for those of you guys, for whoever's watching who doesn't know this, Tencent is actually the 2nd largest company by market cap as a gaming company, like in the world. So they are the guys that own League of Legends and PUBG. So they have they're a massive, massive company. And also, thanks to Annie, he gave us some homework to read up on. And one of the things that it says there that this investment into Immutable is actually it's Tencent's first official direct investment into the blockchain. So I think if that's not a bullish sign for Immutable, not financial advice, more us as like onlookers, or for me specifically, I'm looking at this as a very bullish signal for Immutable. Again, not financial advice, just what I'm looking at. For Tencent, like for a company the size of Tencent and the hold that they have in the marketplace, with League of Legends, just for an example, for them looking at Immutable, what could that mean? What would happen if they do transition League of Legends into an Immutable X marketplace? What if they transition that into this blockchain system? What is that actually going to do for the space? Imagine League of Legends is one of the biggest companies, biggest games in the entire world. If that transitions into an NFT space where it's not pay to win, but again, the skins are NFTs, damn guys, that's insane.